Hi guys, welcome to Digital Tech Join. In this video tutorial, I'm going to show you how to configure Ocelot and API Gateway, which is an open source targeted for .NET applications, and also touch base what are the concept of API Gateway. In this demo, I will show you how to create an API from scaffolding and then configure that into Ocelot API Gateway. So let's get started. So first, what is an API gateway? So basically an API gateway is a server that acts as an entry point. So that's the name, the gateway for clients to access backend services. It provides a single interface for different services helping to manage, route and process requests. So without an API gateway, each service could need to be accessed individually, which can be cumbersome for clients and might lead to inefficiency. Let me give you a simple example at this junction. Just imagine Amazon or Netflix, they must be having thousands and thousands of APIs. So if they don't have an API gateway and a distributed architect, what is going to happen is that they will end up consuming all the APIs directly into their front ends or into their middleways. So to manage those, to manage API functionalities, because API gateway is not just consolidating all the APIs at one place, but it also extends certain features that is very important. And if you don't use API gateway, then you end up doing these functionalities and these features in individual API endpoints, which is obviously will be cumbersome and will take a lot of development time. So a common feature of API Gateway includes request routing. So you can directly route the incoming request to appropriate backend services. It also manages your authentication and authorization. That means you don't have to individually code your authentication and authorization on each API endpoints. Rate limiting, which is a very fantastic feature, that you don't allow any end users to keep requesting for your API and ultimately leading to something called DOS command error, which is denial on request, which happens. It's part of one of the vulnerability. Then caching, obviously you can cache API endpoints so that it increases your performance. Load balancing, logging and monitoring, and also transformation. So when I say transformation, is that when your API must be having a hundred of fields, but then your API gateway can manage those transformation and convert those, or it can restrict the number of fields when it is getting consumed by your end clients. So we will cover certain features in our Ocelot also while we show you the practical demo. Now coming back to Ocelot. So what is Ocelot? Ocelot is a lightweight API gateway framework for .NET Core, designed to providing routing, load balancing, API management capability for microservice architect. This covers all the features that I just mentioned in the API gateway. It enables you to manage and route HTTP requests to various microservices with ease. Here are some of the key points about Ocelot. Now, see, the key point is also covers this, the same thing, request routing, authentication, rate limiting, caching, and everything. So, since Ocelot is also a free gateway, API gateway, obviously this all features is also available in Ocelot. Now, overall, Ocelot is popular choice for .NET Core developers looking to implement API gateway pattern with minimum setup and configuration. So the setup and configuration of API gateway using Ocelot is very simple. This is what I'm going to cover that in my practical section. Now, this is an architect. This is what I'm going to build. So basically, our Ocelot gateway will be a middleware, and we will configure all the APIs. I will create two APIs as through scaffolding. And why I'm using scaffolding, because I don't want to get into the detail of creating the API, because I've already covered that in my previous session. You can watch my video in my channel where I've taught how to create a web API using within 60 minutes. Okay, which covers each and every detail and explanation. There are a couple of videos around it which also talks about various techniques you can use for creating a web API. So that is the reason I will be quickly creating these services and show you how to create web API using scaffolding. And then I'll configure these two endpoints in Ocelot Gateway. And this is just an eye level diagram, like you can connect your Ocelot Gateway through your mobile, IoT or browser. In our case, we are going to connect through a browser and show you the demo. So that's it, guys. This was a theoretical section, and now let's get into a favorite activity, that is practically understanding, creating things, and show and will be a very exciting journey. So let's get started. So, guys, I've opened my Visual Studio 2022, and I will be using .NET Framework 8.0. So here first I'm going to click on Create New Project, and I'm going to select Web API. First, I'm going to create endpoints. So just search in Web API. So here you can see ASP.NET Core Web API. So I'm going to select this C Sharp. Click on Next, and this will be my eShop products. So this will be my products. So I'm just going to say products. Okay, and my solution name will be eShop, because in the same solution I'll create one more endpoint. Okay, so this is next, and I'm going to take as of now configure for HTTPS. It will be .NET 8.0, and rest all features will be as it is, and I click on create. Okay, so we have created this project. So now I'll create one more project, and right click on the solution, top solution eShop, and say add new project. Select Web API, ASP.NET Web API, and this will be my second project, which will be eShop orders. So we are creating a scenario like Amazon, where we have different APIs, different endpoints for different functionalities. Like eShop, eProducts is a API that actually manages all the product display, and eShop Orders is an API that manages all the display of orders and update of orders. This is how exactly a distributed architect looks like. So, you have, and in fact, each endpoints in a true sense will also have its own database, because it could be possible that your eShop products will have MySQL database, whereas your eShop orders may have Postgre or Cosmos DB database. So that is how you attain that distribution architect, where one of the services is also down, then still your other service works, something that sort. So, but you have to bind all these endpoints to a gateway, and that is why we are doing this. We will be showing you how to configure these endpoints to your Ocelot gateway. So we click on next, and here also I'll remove HTTPS for orders, and click on create. So now we have two projects, two endpoints, two APIs. Okay, and we will add one more project later on. First, we'll make this functionality enabled for products and orders. So here what I'm going to do is that I'm going to click on products, and right click on controller. So first I'm going to create a model. So right click on the project and say new folder. These are my class. Okay, and right click on this model folder, right, say class, and select class product entity. So this is my product entity, and I'm going to add properties. First is an ID, then product name, about product, and this will be rate. So let's keep this simple. So it's the product name, and about the product, and the rate. So this is our, and I'll just add key over here. This ID will be a key. So this is my model ready product. So I'm going to now right click on the controller, say add controller, click on API, and then select API controller with action using entity framework. Click on next. Now here you select class product entity which I created. Data context, I'm going to create one new one. So click on add data context, and here eShop product data, eShop content. So this is, let's keep this as it is, and provider is SQL Server, and this is my controller name. So I'm just going to say products. So this is my controller name. Make sure you don't remove the controller products. Okay, and click on add. So now it is going to do the scaffolding, and it is going to create um, the data folder. Then it is going to create database, add the connection string in the um, JSON, and inject the same in the program.cs file. So by this method, you will be able to quickly set up an API if you have any basic need of creating an API as soon as possible within few minutes. This time you can create it, and then obviously you can enhance it, you can add parameters, you can add validation and everything. And if you like to know what exactly scaffolding is doing and how it is creating those, then as I mentioned, you can go ahead and watch my previous videos. So this is the entire API stack ready for me, and I'll just run this project right now. This is selected. So before I do that, I'm just going to do the migration. So I'm going to go over here on the tools and you get package manager, a package manager console, and I'm just going to increase the size a little bit, and I'm going to add the migration command, add hyphen migration, and this is my initial database setup. This is my first database setup, so that is my so build started, and you can look at the right hand side. You will be able to see some folders created. Yes, you can see the migration folder created over here. And this will have all the script. And now finally, I'm going to execute this command database hyphen update, and this is going to actually execute a script. Oh, database update date hyphen database. Let me. Yes, it's update hyphen database. Sorry. So now you can see the build is started and it is successfully executed the query. So this is a query that has got executed. Now my database is ready and my connection string is also ready. I'm just going to zoom. Yeah. So a little bit. Okay. So here you can see in my project, you'll see in my app setting, the connection string is been added eProducts. And in my program.cs, you can see it's injected the database connection. Obviously, in the data folder, we have the data contest class, DB contest, and the table name is product entity. So everything is set. I'm just going to run this project now. And we're going to add few records. So here you can see the Swagger tool, and this is running in port 5249. So the products page is running in the port 5249. This will be required when we configure the same in the Ocelot Gateway. So let's add few products. Here I can see click on try, flat mouse, and this is about HP mouse, and there it is. Click on execute. The record got added. You can see success to one response. Okay, so the success. So we'll add one more product, and we can execute. This also got executed, and then we'll have okay. Okay, so now we'll go and hit the this was post. Now go. Let's go ahead and click on get, and we should be able to execute the record. And we are having three records over here. Okay, so our APIs is working fine. There's also delete, put, and get. The purpose is not of understanding each and every functionality. This our API is ready through scaffolding. Now we are going to proceed with the orders. So now I'll just right click on the orders and set this as a startup project. So in the orders, we are going to do the same thing. I'll just go to Windows and close all the tabs. Now here I'm going to create a model class first, add folder, and right click, and then this is order entity. This will have prop ID, this will order ID, prop date time, then customer name. Ideally, it should have customer ID, but as I've told you, we are just going to item, and this will print total. Okay, so we are going to we have created a simple orders scenario. So this is, and this will be our key. So our model is ready. Now we right click on the controller and add controller, click on API, use using entity framework, click on add, select order entity, DB context. We are going to add a new one, SQL server, and this will be our uh, I'm just going to rename this to orders. So most of the Ocelot Gateway tutorial will have the APIs ready and they'll just configure it in Ocelot. But I wanted my user to actually understand the creation as well. So here I'm creating the API, doing migration, creating the API through scaffolding, and then I'm going to proceed with Ocelot configuration. This way, our understanding is absolutely clear. So let's go ahead and do the migration command. Tool, okay, package manager, and I'm just going to, so this is e-products, make sure it is orders. Okay, here from the drop down and just increase the size. Now here this will be add hyphen migration. This is the initial database for orders. Fine, this is done. And this time let me use the proper command. It's update hyphen database. Cool, successfully created. Now let's go ahead and run this project and also add few records. So go to post and click on try. Here let the date be as it is and let this be Alex, and item is laptop, on total amount paid is. So we have executed one command and it's successfully executed. Let's execute another record of say a different date, 26th, and this time it is William, and this will be mouse. Okay, so let's execute two records over here, and even this got executed. Let's go to get and just check the record is getting fetched. You can see two orders are like Alex and William. Okay, so now we just close this window and just okay. So now we have two endpoints created, both running on a different database tables, different database and tables. So now we have these two endpoints. We can have many such API endpoints. created based on our requirement, based on a domain-driven architect. So we have orders, we have orders, products, we can have, returns, refunds, payments, and all these APIs. Now let us proceed to creation and setting of the Ocelot Gateway. For that, we are going to create one more project over here, which will be an empty core project. So I'll click on add new project, and I'm going to select, just type empty over here. And here you can see ASP.NET Core Empty C Sharp. Click on next, and this will be my API gateway. So basically, it will be eShop API Gateway. I'm going to remove this HTTP configuration, rest all I'm going to leave it as it is, and click on create. Here you can see the project is created. Now, what is the first step we need to do? First is we need to go to package manager for API gateway. I'm going to just highlight this, set a startup. So we need to select eShop API gateway, go to package manager and download the Ocelot package from the NuGet package. Okay. So here I'm going to type as Ocelot and click on enter. So here you can see Ocelot by having around 9.92 MB downloads. So you need to download this. Okay. The main author is Tom Pallister. He is the main author. So we are going to select this one. Make sure the author is this. And the version, current version is 23.3.3. So stable version. I'm going to select this and click on install. Fine. So it's installed. Next thing we are going to do is that we are going to create a JSON file over here. So right click, new item, select JSON and name this as a lot. You can name it any, it's just that for better understanding. So this is where we are going to configure the ports and endpoints of these two APIs. So let's do that and I'll show you what is the step. So click on Ocelot and we are going to configure the upstream, downstream, basically routing. So we'll add those routings over here so that our eShop API gateway understands uh, what to route and when. So let's do that. So first inside this curly brackets, we are going to write something called route. So double quotes and see, you can see it's already come up. And so this is one, and then the first endpoint. So what is for a first endpoint that is products? I'm going to say downstream part template. Okay, and this will have the template. So here slash. So what is the for product? What is the controller? It's called the product, and it is API and the controller. So I need to type API and products. So just make a note of this. You go back to Ocelot. I'm going to say API slash, and this will be product. So this is my downstream part template. Then I need to say downstream schema. Schema is nothing but the port. So currently I'm using HTTP. Then downstream host and ports. And here I'm going to specify host. So here you can see host. Host is localhost for me. And then port. Then we have port, which is we need to understand what is the port. So go to the products, go to properties, go to launch template, launch settings, and here you can see the port is 5249. So go to Ocelot and type in 5249. So this is the main setting. Now here we are going to say comma and then upstream path template, upstream path template, and this will be again slash API products. Then we have upstream method. This will be space get. In my case, it's get, but you can also write post, put, and everything. So first we'll just focus on one method. Okay, so this is my first setup that I've done for my one endpoint, comma, and I'm going to repeat this again. So I'm going to copy this because we have the second endpoint as well. So we have products and we have orders. I'm just going to copy till here, and then after comma, I'm going to paste this. So this is my second endpoint, and this will be, let me just go to the orders controller and see. So API and orders. Okay, so let's go to, this is API and orders. Okay, and this runs in a different port obviously. So click on orders, go to properties and just say launch setting, and this is 5168. Copy, come back to Ocelot, and here we are going to paste it. It is 5168. Now, so if you see that we have configured two endpoints, we can configure n number of endpoints. So you just format it a little bit, and fine. So our first level of setting is setting. Now, obviously, we are going to show you how to include rate limiting, which is a very fantastic feature, and then also caching. So these two, because we will not be able to show you load balancing and all these things, but these two are primarily important feature which you can readily use in your projects, real-time projects. So now we have two endpoints. We have configured that in our Ocelot JSON in the route section. Now, what is the next step? Next step is that we are going to go to eShop API Gateway programs, and here we need to do the next next add certain libraries. You see, using Microsoft dot extension dot configuration, we're going to use this. Then using Ocelot dot dependency injection and using Ocelot dot middleware. But we'll use the cache manager also later on. So now after this line, before we build the app, we're going to say builder dot configuration dot add JSON file. And this will have builder dot configuration. 1 minute, just hold on. We'll add JSON file, and this will have the name of the JSON. So we are going to say Ocelot, the file that I had created, dot JSON. Okay, and some few parameters, and reload on change set to true. So first we are going to add this configuration to our programs files, and then we are going to say builder.services dot add Ocelot. Okay, so we are adding Ocelot to it. Then we are also going to say builder services dot add API Endpoint Explorer. And after we build the application, okay, we are going to, before the run, we are going to say await app dot use Ocelot. So now we are going to build this. So this was the setting that I had done. Now we are going to run it. But when we run the application, okay, we are supposed to call the API, but the API project is still not running. So obviously it will not call, and it will throw an error. For example, if I just slash API dot products, so you'll say that it will not, it will say it will not working because we inspect it, and you go to networks, you will not find the API because the API currently is not working. Okay, so how do we sort this issue? So basically, we have to run the project, all these three projects together. So what you're going to do is that we are going to right click on the solution, go to property here, and then on the startup, select startup, click on multiple startup. First, you need to start, you know, the APIs. Obviously, you need to start everything. So I just click on start all and say apply. Now in this, what happens is all three projects will be loaded. Okay, we got an exception. Okay, so there's a typo error. Sorry. So it just okay. So we just build it again. So I messed out. Yes. Yeah, there was a typo error over here. So anyway, just rebuild it and now just run the project. So you can see all these three projects are now executed is running. So you can see there are three command prompt. This is for your API gateway, which is running on some port that is 5086. This is the API gateway. Then this is your orders, which is on 5168, and then this is your products, which is on 5249. If you go to your solution and click on eShop API Gateway Ocelot. So these ports already configured 5249, that is product, and 5168. Now let's go ahead and in your console for API Gateway. This is for API Gateway, that is 5086. I'm going to now call the API of the product. Got it. So now you can notice how from port 5086, which is a port of API gateway, it is going ahead and calling the products API, which runs on a different port because we have configured that into our API gateway. So now this becomes an hub for all the APIs that you want to call. And let us also try product order. So without doing any change over here, still on 5086, I'm going to say orders, and I should be able to see two orders. Yes, you can see. So this is how we have set up our API gateway and successfully calling the endpoints from a different port into our API gateway. This is the first point that we have achieved. Now we have actually created a gateway for calling all our APIs. So suppose if you're having a project where you don't have an API gateway and you are calling n number of external APIs and you have got n number of endpoints, then surely you can use Ocelot and configure Ocelot in your project and create a gateway for managing it at a center level. Now let's go ahead and also show you how you can use caching and how you can use rate limiting. So first I'll show caching and then I'll show rate limiting. So for that, let's go to our eShop API Gateway, right click. And before we do that, we will also do one thing. We will also check the speed at which the API is fetching the record so that you, after caching, we can see the difference. So here, I'm going to say inspect. F12 is inspected. Okay. And network console. Okay. I'm going to say API orders. Okay, the data is fetched over here. And click on network. So if you can see that it took me around, let me just refresh it once again. So this is you can see from here 10 ms to 80 ms, that was it took to refresh the fetch the data. Now what we're going to do, we are going to enable caching. So let's go ahead and right click on API Gateway, NuGet Package Manager, browse for Ocelot cache. So here you can select O- Ocelot Cache Manager, same from author Tom, and click on install. Apply. It's installed. Now you go to Ocelot configuration file, JSON file, and we have to add that over here. So right under upstream HTTP method, I'm going to add a comma, and this will be file cache options. Okay, and here I'm going to say T, so TTL. Okay, and this will be cache for how many seconds? So I'm going to say cache for say 10 seconds. Okay, so that's it. This is the setting I need to do. I will copy the same to my another endpoint, that is orders, 10 seconds. So within 10 seconds, it will fetch from cache, and after 10 seconds, it will fetch from the server. So after we do this, you go to the program files, and here we need to. So for that, what we are going to do is that here you can see add Ocelot. Okay, so here I'm going to just add few parameters, additional parameters. So I'm going to say builder, and then I'm going to say builder.configuration, and then add cache manager. Here you can see add cache manager, settings, lambda expression, enter settings dot with dictionary handle. That's it. This is the line for adding the cache manager. Here you can see automatically cache manager got added in the libraries. So I'm going to right click and build it. No errors, and I want to click on start. I'll go to my tab, and now I'm going to select slash API products. Enable the inspect option. Click on network. This is the first time I'm requesting. So you can see now it is almost showing 180 ms milliseconds. Now I'm going to refresh because 10 seconds is not gone. So now you can see the request has become 70, from 180 to 70 ms. Now it has become 10 ms. So basically you can see, because I'm requesting within the 10 seconds. Now I'll wait for 10 seconds and let's see what is the response. So now it's more than 10 seconds, and when I request again, it should fetch for the data from the server again. Here you can see the response is now increased to 40 ms. But overall, we see from 180 ms to it is drastically reduced to 20-30 ms, because now I've enabled caching in my API. So any API that performs non-transaction activity, that is like master, city master, state master, any master which doesn't change more often, you should definitely cache those APIs for your better performance of the application. So yes, we showed you the caching. Now next thing is we're going to do rate limiting. So just for everybody's understanding, rate limit is something that when you are requesting for an and it is like, if there are some bots which hackers or do it. So if your API is configured in the bot, it can do n number of requests, thousands and thousands of requests, potentially damaging and making your service unavailable. So in order to avoid that, what you can do is that many people write their own custom code, but using API, it's just a matter of few parameters, and it will make sure that if anybody is requesting an API, and if they do a second request of a subsequent request, then that subsequent request and the original request should have a difference of say about 10 seconds, 20 seconds, or 1 minute or 5 minutes, depending upon your application a configuration or the need of the application. So how do you do that simply without writing a single line of code? So for that, we just need to add few parameters in the JSON. So I'm going to Ocelot again, and here I'm going to add the rate limit category. Right after the cache option that you have enabled it, you click on enter. Okay, and here I'm going to say rate limit. Rate limit options. Okay, and then colon option, that will be client whitelist. Right now we don't have any whitelist option. Then we have enable rate limiting, which is true. Then this will be period colon. This will be 5 seconds. So there's a difference of 5 seconds between the original request and the subsequent request. And then there is period span. This is 1 and comma, and this will be limit. So you need to set the limit. So now I'm going to say limit colon, and this will be 5. Okay. So I'm getting some exception over here. Let me see what could be the. So I think so this entire option should be inside this one. Yes. So after your file cache, you need to put a comma, and then let me just, yes. So this is the correct way. Period time span. Now you can see it is coming. So I was wondering why the interlaces were not coming. Period, because I put it in the wrong tag. This is inside this tag. So rate limit option, and this is client whitelist. So now everything looks good. So rate limit option, we are set for 5 seconds, and number of limit is 5 and type source is 1. So let's see this in action. This I've done for the products. We will do for the orders once this is successfully executed. So let's go and run the project. Okay, so there is some exception over here. Let me just check. Okay, so the our JSON file has some issues. Let me just check and correct it. Okay, you can see that missing comma. So this is comma over here. So I just added this. So now we have this endpoints, and then we need to have a comma, and then for the second endpoints. So what I'm going to do is that since we have added this tag, I will also go ahead and add the same thing for orders as well. So we open this expand this after file cache, comma, and paste this. Okay. So we can change this. So this for products, it was 5 seconds. Okay. And here we'll add no, 2 seconds. Okay. And here we can limit is 2. We reduce the rate limiting. So this will display the error message fast, and this will after 5 subsequent requests. So again, I'm getting some error over here. I don't know. Let me just check. it should work. Let me just check. Fine. So now let's go to our API Gateway browser, which is right over here. And let's see the things in action. So we'll click on products. So it will load now. What I'm going to do is I'm subsequently requesting 5 seconds. 5 Okay. So here you can see again the request coming again. So now it will request. Now it should not. So this is how you can, without writing any single line of code, you can restrict your API request by invoking it multiple times. So here in case of order, the request will be much lesser. So now it should expire soon. See it's within 2 seconds it is showing the display. Fine. So then this we covered one of the key features for no setting up the API. So here you can see the route configuration that I showed, and this brings to our end of the tutorial. Now, as I mentioned, for someone who's new to API, creating web API and everything, I've already got there is there is something that I created consuming. This is consuming, and then also have creating API. So you can definitely watch those. So I created many videos related to create web API, then consume that into your application. So all these videos tutorials are there, and now I've seen, so you can see learn ASP web API in 60 minutes, and I'm going to release one more video which I promised that how to consume it in a very efficient and efficient manner by using abstraction. Because in this video I've included everything in the controller class, so that is not right. But for beginners and somebody who wants to know how to consume, this is a great video. And Then today I covered on API Gateway and configuring the API Gateway. So guys, this was the end to the tutorial. I hope you like this video. Please do comment and like my videos, and please do share my channel link with your friends, families, and colleagues, and help me to grow this channel so that it reaches out to the maximum of my to the developer community. And thank you so much for your time.